What's up everybody, my name's Seth and today we're going to be talking about the upgrades I did to my LTD EC-1000 BB. Before I start talking about the upgrades, I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that's subscribed to this channel. As of right now, while I'm filming this, we're sitting at over 120 subscribers, which is crazy to me that there's that many people that are really interested in what I have to say about guitars. So thank you to all of you, and I hope I keep making videos that you enjoy. One thing I should mention about this video before moving on is that this isn't going to be a review of this guitar, as I already made a video reviewing what this guitar was like in its stock state. So if you're interested in watching that, I'll put a link to that in the description box down below. With all that stuff out of the way, let's actually start talking about the upgrades I did to this guitar. So the first thing that I knew I for sure wanted to change was I wanted to swap out the Grover tuners for a set of locking tuners, and I ended up going with a set of Gotoh locking tuners just because that's what is put on the Japanese ESP guitars, and I think they look really cool, so that's what we went with. Another thing I knew I wanted to change was the pickups, just because I've never been the biggest fan of the EMG 81 and 60 set, so I ended up swapping in a set of EMG 57 and 66 TWs because I've never tried them before, and I thought they would be a drop-in replacement. The final thing that I set out to do with this guitar was install the side spring clip onto the Evertune Bridge so I can correct some buzzing that I was getting on the Haight E-string saddle. So the first thing I ended up doing was removing all the strings from the guitar, then taking off the back plate and trying to remove the Evertune from the body in order to install the side spring clip. One thing worth mentioning about this guitar is that the bridge ground wire was actually attached to the comb of the Evertune bridge, which meant that I couldn't freely remove the bridge without disconnecting that ground wire first. As far as the actual installation of the side spring clip goes, it was pretty straightforward. It's just unfortunately very fiddly, at least in my experience. After I finished installing the side spring clip, I opened up the electronics cavity and noticed that LTD doesn't use EMG's solderless system despite using EMG pickups. Because of this, I ended up having to remove all the potentiometers, the output jack, and the battery connector from this guitar just to install the new pickups. Also found out that the three-way toggle that was included with the guitar was wired in a way that's not compatible with EMG's solderless system, so I ended up having to also order an EMG switch on top of everything else. This ended up kind of being a blessing in disguise though, since this switch is a lot less stiff than the one that came stock on the guitar. After getting everything else sorted out, I cleaned and conditioned the fingerboard and installed the new tuners, which thankfully dropped right in. Once those tuners were installed, I put the new strings on the guitar and tuned it up. This was actually my first time restringing a guitar with the Evertune Bridge, and I can honestly say this is a significantly easier process than working with any type of floating trim. The nice thing about the Evertune system is that each string and saddle is independent of the others, so once you get a string in tune, it stays in tune no matter what happens to the rest of the strings. The only small issue that I had was I found it a little bit difficult to try to get the guitar perfectly in tune at the bend stop point, so bends felt just like they do on a hardtail bridge, but this could really just be chalked up to my own inexperience at dealing with the Evertune, as well as the fact that this was a new set of guitar strings. Once I was finally able to sit down and play this guitar for real, I noticed that I instantly preferred the EMG 57 and 66 to the 81 and 60 that this guitar came stock with. For me, these pickups feel and sound a lot less clinical than the stock pickups, and there's a lot more warmth to these than the 81 and 60. But the nice thing is that warmth doesn't come at the expense of having a very clear and cutting sound when you're playing with lots of gain. Personally, I don't think these pickups sound like true passive pickups, but I will say that they have enough of that passive character to make them my favorite out of all the other EMGs that I've tried. Another nice thing about these pickups is that I found the single coil tones to be really usable, especially with cleans, but I think I've talked about them enough. Let's actually listen to what they sound like. After everything's said and done, the question can be asked, was this all worth it? And to me, the answer is yes. I personally think most modern guitars should come by default with locking tuners, and I'm a little surprised that this one didn't, given that LTD's other 1000 series guitars do come with LTD branded locking tuners. In regards to the pickup swap, I know that's a matter of personal preference more so than anything else, but for me personally, these pickups are way more inspiring than the EMG 81 and 60 that came stock on this guitar. So yeah, in summary, I think all these upgrades that I did took what was already a really fun guitar for me and made it even better. Well, that about does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking it and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you're looking for additional ways to help support me and the channel, I've got links to do just that in that description box down below. Until next time, stay safe everybody, and I hope to see you again soon.